When we were first time in Hong Kong, there were 2 women and 1 male monks out of a Buddhist, famous Buddhist temple there, who were apparently decision makers for this temple. And they came invited by our sponsor. They had no idea what this was about. When Carmen did that move from sitting first position to third, not the first and not the third, but the state that they automatically achieve in the transition. They asked if we would come and teach them how to do this, because this was equivalent to what they considered about 3.5 weeks of meditation. But it happened in 7 minutes. So they were fascinated by the technology because it gave them access to certain classes of states, which are highly valued in their tradition. Having said all that, and I think there's amazing, interesting things to do with that stuff. I mean, the worst case in NLP is reframing. Reframing is rebehaving. Why did I call it reframing? I don't know. Brain dead for an extended period of time. Too much of a know-nothing state. A lot of... Now, we got the same problem with know-nothing states. You can't know nothing. It's like, can you have no kinesthetics in third? If you're dead, I guess you can do it. But you can't know nothing. So let's take an example. You've had know-nothing states. What you really call know-nothing states. She's thinking about it. I have. Let me use an example from outside of NLP officially. I'm climbing with Francois Lecan in Bourg in France, a famous climbing place, 2 weeks ago. And I go into a know-nothing state. Now, what the hell does that mean? It means that I suspend any interest, reference to, filtering of anything except what's right in front of me. Now, I know that's a lie. I know I'm also keeping a lot of the fundamental programs for climbing vertical rock, difficult vertical rock. I'm like the martial arts, they're all there. I don't know which one I'm going to use, because the problem-solving relationship between my body and the rock will dictate which moves are appropriate. And I arrange for all of those to be subordinated to Francois, 6-time world champion. So I'm going, okay, every move he makes, man, I'm grabbing. And I end up climbing a higher grade of rock than I ever have in my life, naturally. The so-called proximity effect. Through the mirror neurons, through micro-muscle movement, through synesthesia, I'm stealing stuff from Francois. So the know-nothing state means I know all and only those circuits which could be recruited like the martial artist in competition, which may be applicable. I make no decisions beforehand, and I make no conscious decisions in the state. My unconscious promote whatever part of the circuitry that I'm carrying, which is relevant to what I'm attempting to do. So I don't think there is such a thing as a know-nothing state if you interpret it literally. What should it be called? It should be called know all and only the things you need to know to succeed. It's not quite as catchy, but it's more accurate. I'm sure you have know-nothing states in that sense. That's what anything you're passionate about that you're completely focused on. One of the differences between Le Grand and almost every other climber I've climbed with, there are several, but the one that struck me was, I asked him about, there's a famous championship climb he did where he invented a hold in order to overcome a puzzle that everybody went, what? And I asked him if he remembered that climb, and he said, yeah, what part of it do you want me to describe? He could give me down to fractions of a centimeter the size of the holds that he used on this thing. He had phobia class recall. And by phobia class recall, you know when you work with phobias, they have a complete eidetic image, often dynamic, a video, of the snake or the falling tree or the automobile accident or whatever it was that was the phobia. Typically complete visual, auditory, kinesthetic recall. That's why they're still phobic. It's an intact experience. It hasn't been decomposed and sorted out into the categories, which I think most of our experiences are. And it's one of the few examples where I think we hold a relatively precise representation of what actually happened. Everything else in memory seems to be reconstructed. Now, there's also this amazing thing that Martin's investigating. about consolidation periods for memory. If I teach you a skill set, juggling, and now I move over and take you through the alphabet game, there's going to be retroactive interference with the first skill set unless I leave a certain amount of consolidation time. How much? Well, there's a lot of stuff floating around. The one thing to be careful about is the famous example of the professor who gave an hour-and-a-half lecture promoting the research that demonstrated that human beings have a half-hour attention span. That's what we don't want, right? Okay, so I absolutely agree with your challenge to the know-nothing state. I'm open to a renaming here because it's not, the community of the new code people is still tight enough in the world. I think we could promote a linguistic reform. I'm not sure what the hell to call the thing.
John, is it?
Huh?
Is it an extension of the demon state?
Yeah, the demon state is, again, has a nice marketing ring to it. So.
No, I'm asking as a piece in your structure.
In my world?
Yeah, was that an extension of demon state, or is it?
I don't know if it's an extension. It's in the same family of altered states. Yeah.
What's the demon state?
Demons that read turtles all the way down.
So the demon state was a name that Michael Colgrass, the Pulitzer Prize-winning composer, gave to when he was possessed by the demon of composing music, or playing music for that matter. He's a pretty good jazz player. This was a special state, which all jazz musicians know about, and all composers, I suspect, know about, where he didn't have a choice. He had a routine he learned over the years that when he got a call from the Philadelphia Philharmonic saying, "We want to commission a piece, Michael. There's a centennial coming up, and the theme is this, the soloists available are these people. Would you take a commission to make a composition for us, which will be the highlight of the festival?" And as he'd add a set of questions, he would ask, what's the fee? What access do I have to the orchestra prior for rehearsing? All these technical things. Michael claims that when he made the decision unconsciously, the way he knew it actually was, he would hear the opening strains of the composition, the first couple bars, which set the theme, with zero effort consciously on his part. Apparently the information he had provoked in the questioning was enough for his unconscious to go, yeah, we can do that, and here's an example of what we can do, which gave him the signal to accept the commission. If he didn't get that, he would say, I'll call you back. And if it came in the interim, he'd call back. If it didn't, he'd call back and say no. So the demon state was a high-performance state in which he knew nothing except all the things he needed to know about composing music most of his life. But this kept him married happily to Ulla from Denmark for over 45 years, and allowed him to maintain a reasonable relationship with his neighbors and visiting musicians he would jam with, and his son Neil. They're very close. Remember, historically, at least in European, and I don't know about the cultures that are all represented here, but in Western European and Western European derivative cultures, madness and artistry very closely associated. I take this to be a complete possession by the artistic demon of the person in all contexts. That is, there's no contextualization. Michael Colgrass succeeded in living a life that he greatly enjoys, and his wife and son and friends appreciate, by spatially confining his demon. He would only unleash his demon in the top floor of this 3-story Victorian house in Toronto, Canada, where he lives. He's an expat, came out of Chicago. And so the only time he unleashes that demon, the composition demon, is in this confined space. And he literally locks the door and locks the demon in when he leaves. So it's a ritualistic, spatial anchoring solution to what would otherwise be problematic in his relationships with the rest of the world.